What is up, guys? Ojo Noel here, and well, I know I said that I'm gonna be concentrating more on music and stuff like that with this channel, but well, we recently finally got the StarField gameplay drop, and I really want to talk about it. There's a lot of things going on. I think a lot of people are misunderstanding a lot of the things that Bethesda are doing and trying to do, and I really want to talk about it because I think I know what I'm talking about. I don't want to, not to toot my horn or whatever, but as you know, what you're seeing right now is basically a procedural city that I created in Unreal Engine. I've been working with procedural generation for a few years now. I'm by no means a professional or whatever. I'm just a nerd in a basement, messing around with Unreal Engine and stuff like that. But my point is that I've been wanting to make a space game for a long time. It's one of the reasons I started learning Unreal Engine and stuff. And the interesting thing is that I have had an outline for a space game for a long time. For several years, actually. In fact, around the time that No Man's Sky came out. Because as many people will remember, everyone kind of made up in their own head what they thought No Man's Sky was going to be because it was kind of vague. And then it launched and, it didn't meet anybody's expectations. Now we all know what happened afterwards, the redemption, they've redeemed themselves and all that stuff. No Man's Sky is in a different place now than it was at launch. But when it launched, that's really one of the main things that motivated me to really want to get into game development and all that stuff, right? So basically, long story short, I got, No Man's Sky showed me the power of procedural generation, showed me what that technology can really do, and demonstrated that that's really the only way to go about making a space game. I mean, that's really the only way you can do it, procedural generation. So it's been very disheartening for me to see how procedural generation has been getting such a bad rap due to the launch state of No Man's Sky in what was it, I don't remember when No Man's Sky came out. I think like 2015, 2016, something like that. I'll have to check it out. But anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. The thing is, procedural generation is an amazing technology, and I think it's been greatly misunderstood. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, what Bethesda seems to be doing with it, how it aligns with the way that I would go about doing things, and it's a lot of the things that they're saying, especially in recent interview that Todd did. He said a lot of the things that I had also decided to do with if and when I ever get around to actually making my game, right? Because I still have a ton to learn and job and all that stuff, but I'm getting somewhere. As you can see here, the city I've been working on, and you'll see them in my other videos with the music and stuff. But anyways, everyone, for example, right now everyone is losing their minds over the 1,000 planets comment, right? At the end of the Bethesda showcase, Todd Howard said, StarField will contain 100 star systems and over 1,000 planets for the players to explore. And everybody lost their minds because they say, oh no, they can't make 1,000 planets, so they must be using procedural generation. And for some reason, people have this negative view of procedural generation without fully understanding what it can do, what can be done with it, and what Bethesda appears to be doing with it. Now, here's the thing. When I heard that, they have 1,000 planets, that is very, very interesting, because I think there's a very big point, a very important point there that a lot of people are missing. With procedural generation, as Todd actually said in the interview as well, with procedural generation, you can just as easily make one planet that can, for all practical purposes to the player, could in theory be basically infinite. It's not technically infinite, but it's so large that it might as well be infinite, right? And depending on how you make your algorithm, you can do a lot of stuff with that. So it's just as easy to make one planet or 1,000 planets. Now, I think it's very interesting that they have that limit of 1,000 planets, because when you really think, they could have just as easily gone the No Man's Sky route, right? Do a full procedural galaxy. You got millions of stars with billions of planets. But they didn't do that. They capped it at a large number, 1,000 planets. 1,000 planets is a pretty beefy number, but it's not an inhuman number. And I think that's really the very important little detail that a lot of people are missing. With 1,000 planets, a company like Bethesda can actually go in there and handcraft the procedural algorithm, or hand tweak the algorithm for each individual planet. And we can see that they've done this in the gameplay video by the names of the planets. Because these are not procedurally generated names. These are not like made up gibberish names. No, they're real names. Crete, Moloch. There was a couple of others in there that I don't remember, but they were actual names. That means that they've not only gone and, these aren't just randomly procedurally generated planets. They're using procedural generation technologies in order to create the planet, but you have to think that they are going and hand crafting the algorithm for each individual planet. And that's where the magic happens, baby. That's where the magic happens. Because you see, when you have 1,000 planets like that, and how long they've been working on this game? For like 7 years or more. They say 25 years in the making. I mean, imagine you have one guy working on, just tweaking the algorithm, one planet per day, right? It would take them, 3 years, right? They've been working on it for more than 3 years, and they have way more than one guy. So they absolutely have every single planet, and I will guarantee you right now that every single planet in StarField has a unique name, not a random gibberish name, which means that somebody went in there, created that planet, handcrafted that planet. That doesn't mean that everything on the every mountain, every hillside and stuff like that is handcrafted. That means that the unique properties on that planet are indeed handcrafted. Is it a desert planet? Is it a winter planet? Is it a barren planet? Is it an ice ball? Those aspects of the planets are handcrafted. Those will all be handcrafted. And now that they have that layout, since they're able to do that, number one, that means that they know what they're doing. Two, that also means that if you're going to be doing it that way, then the algorithm it can be very specific. It's going to be very specific on every planet. It's going to be very unique. Every planet will probably feel quite unique. Sure, there will be your, barren ice balls, as everyone likes to say. That will be just barren ice balls. But that's how the real universe is. What do you think that when we go out into space, we're just going to call every, what do you expect to find cities on every planet, every moon? No. You're going to have, we're going to concentrate on, the Goldilocks planets, or the Class M planets if you're a Trekkie, or, the Earth-like planets, however you want to call them. We're going to concentrate on those, and the vast majority of the rest of the universe is going to be pretty much empty and barren, right? But that's the interesting thing about going out and exploring, because while we assume that it may be barren or should be barren, we don't really know what is truly out there. And I think Bethesda is playing to that. So there's probably going to be a lot of interesting things to find, probably even on the ice balls. Don't throw the ice balls out with the garbage yet, because we don't really know what Bethesda has up their sleeves. But what we do know is they're the masters of that kind of emergent gameplay, or just randomly exploring something and you find something to do. They are the masters of that. So you can bet that the planets will have features on them, things on them to basically to keep you engaged, to keep the player engaged, to keep you exploring. It's going to give you the incentive to go out and explore. And one of the big reasons for this also is the fact that it's an RPG. With an RPG, you always have that incentive to go out and find better loot, better things to upgrade your character, or new enemies to fight, things like that. And that is something that Bethesda has always been able to deliver in spades, and there's absolutely no reason to think that StarField is going to be any different. Not only that, they've also said that StarField has more handcrafted content than any of their other previous games, plus all the thousands of planets to explore. So, when I see all this negativity around the game, I was actually kind of really surprised. I was super surprised to see how many people are reacting negatively to things that they apparently do not understand. That's been the more frustrating thing for me. To see so much negativity aimed towards the game just because of the procedural generation aspect, when people very clearly don't understand what what procedural generation is really all about, what can be done with it. And it seems like a lot of people are just either hating on Bethesda just to hate on Bethesda because it became a meme, or they're just hating on procedural generation because they saw No Man's Sky was in a bad state at launch and they thought that it had to do with procedural generation. But No Man's Sky wasn't in a bad state at launch because of procedural generation. It was due to a plethora of other reasons, lack of gameplay, lack of meaningful gameplay. But procedural generation is just a way of building your world. It depends on what you fill that world with, that really makes or breaks your game. So now we know that Bethesda, again, are the masters of filling their worlds up. So it doesn't matter how they're getting that world to be created. It matters what they fill that world with. And they absolutely know how to fill up their worlds. But basically that, this video is getting about around 11 minutes now, so I'm going to cut it out here just so it doesn't get too long. But I just wanted to, talk about, I'm going to make some more later on about different aspects that have me really hyped for StarField. So I want to make like a little mini series of why you should be hyped for StarField, because I am super duper hyped for this game. I loved absolutely everything that they've been saying, that they've showed. Again, things that Todd have been saying have really demonstrated to me that they know what they're doing with a space game. It's not just games, it's like RPGs and games in general. A space game is a very unique type of game. And it requires unique solutions. And a lot of the things that he's been saying are things that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I'm very happy to see that Bethesda has arrived at the same conclusions. The next video I'm going to make is probably going to be about how you're not going to be able to fly seamlessly from space to the planet and fly around on the planetary surface. I see that as a great gameplay. Sometimes you want to put certain limitations on the player because the player will abuse certain systems and mechanics, and to the detriment of their own enjoyment in the game itself. Like for example, you wouldn't want to, that's why you don't want players to cheat. You don't want players to cheat because if you do allow a player to cheat, not all of them are going to cheat, but a lot of them will, just because they can. So I'll go into more depth in the next video, but basically that, going from them limiting seamless travel from space to the ground has actually a lot of great gameplay benefits that I'm going to be talking about in the next video. Anyway, I'm rambling now. I'm going to end the video here. Thank you guys for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe. This is normally a music channel, so if you like any of the music that you've heard, in the background here while I was kind of rambling, you can find it on my channel. I make all my own music. And well, thank you for listening, and I will see you guys in the next video. Odra out.